With the old man finding things kind of funny, I guess, in Memo's relation to the rare palace and how it's kind of, what did he say, fate or something that this would happen, or whatever he was looking at, leaves me really interested exactly where they plan to go with that, probably leading to backstory regarding her, maybe him, or something of possible origins or family something, family ties in some sort of way, that would lead to the reasons why. It's just kind of like ironic that that ended up happening. Interesting enough of a way for them to do it, because they did it so simple. Well, there was no real like build up or anything to it. It was just a quick remark in which he ended up making literally like the only things the dude has ever said, which I think is great. And it leaves me really curious is exactly where they plan to head with that. I don't think personally that's something that they're even going to begin to explore for a little bit into the future here. It feels like one of those things, let's plant it in your mind, and then maybe we can keep like trickling some more things, not from him, but through other people or through other things, until we ultimately get like a full reveal of whatever it is that they're trying to have you find out or tell you or hint at here. I think it's going to be a little while before we end up getting that. But I'm excited for, I guess, the journey that they might take us on and for us to figure out what it is that we are supposed to uncover here in this situation. Where we're heading, Mau's still just home, chilling, doing her thing. I'm assuming our boy probably had the night of his life and enjoyed himself quite a bit. And then we'll probably just head back and get into normal antics, would be my assumption. And we probably won't learn or see too much while she's back home. I'm assuming they probably already did most of what they planned to at that point already. And maybe they'll plant one or two more things before she ends up leaving, but probably not. That's where we're at. If you like it, all the like and subscribe to me, not to me. Feel free to stick around for the schedule. Let me know in the comments, but this is another series. Toho show will be blocked at some other point, so if there's no reaction here, check link in description or comments, and you'll be able to still watch that at some point. I don't know when. Let's get going. Poor Genshi, dude. This poor guy has had probably the worst few days of his life. Poor dude, and he can't catch a break because the constant misunderstandings between them two, and everything is awful. And it's one of those two where I'm like 95% sure he's never gonna get that like misunderstanding cleared up, and he might, but it won't be through her, and then she's never gonna understand what it is that she said or did wrong, which is crazy. I always find it so funny how she's like so smart and observant and like fully understands like so much, right, and can see between the lines on so many things, but when it comes to like moments like this, and especially dialogue like between him and some other things that aren't like in her area of like focus in a way, she can be so dense, and like it's funny. I love the way that they kind of portray her in those moments as well. Really great episode though. It actually felt like it kind of flew by. Like it felt fitting when it ended, but at the same time I was like, damn, like that did not feel like a full length one, which is always a good sign, I would say. And I absolutely love the way that they kind of presented the whole situation that happened while she continues her journey. You know, being back home, it isn't all enjoyment, I guess, for the whole time while she is there. And I love the way that we kind of present the situation at hand, but also conclude it with the idea that we can form opinions or thoughts, I guess, as to how this kind of went about, you know, the plans that were about, with it being a murder, who was involved, who actually knew, right? There's all these things at play, and all these questions that you might have. But at the end of the day, you'll never get like a full answer. You'll never actually know who knows what and to what extent everybody knows, you know, who was involved with what, who did what. You never actually get your answer, which I think is a great way of kind of doing it. It presents that there is so much more than, you know, can meet the eye. There's so much more that you literally probably won't figure out unless you kind of start making assumptions and doing things. And through the wise words of the old man, don't make assumptions, right? Don't even bother with it. And she constantly reminds herself of that and multiple times throughout this episode, which I think is really cool. And I don't know, I just like the idea of presenting something that doesn't need to have like a concrete like thing. You get enough of a basis that you can kind of follow, of understanding that this one girl was probably the one who went out of her way to murder this other person, and how all this stuff started getting set up. And then you get a whole bunch of like loose ends, like a whole bunch of things that can actually happen, you know, different paths of ways that things actually went, but you'll never actually have a clue exactly what. And at the end of the day, does it matter? No, because it's not, you know, it's not relation to her family or anything. It's a complete different house in that situation. And she's going back anyways to the Rare Palace, so it doesn't actually matter or affect her in any sort of way, which, you know, just kind of let it be and let those people kind of handle the things from within. If it is, you know, they pay you hush money and they do all this other stuff, you're assuming most of them were probably involved and knew to a fair extent exactly how far this situation ended up going, and, you know, the extent that they tried to take it. It would make a lot of sense that they kind of wouldn't want things like this to get out anyway. So making you go, or while you go away, they're probably going to resolve things in their own sort of way from the inside, which will be interesting. It's also fun how he can like kind of play it onto the girls from inside, right, and say that they were trying to do something to him or like cause harm to him, but that they can actually flip it around and try and go after them and try and claim something in a way for kind of harming one of the girls who work for them, which I think is also really funny. So there's multiple like layers and sides to it, which can work out really fun, which we'll probably never get an answer to or never actually figure out the way that all of that gets resolved unless they really like bring up these characters and stuff. But I just think that that's a really cool way of them kind of approaching it in doing it, which I really also just like how she was able to kind of use all the clues and the things that she picks up for the first like 10 or so minutes before she ultimately comes to like her full conclusion, or not full conclusion, but starts getting led down a path, and then you get immediately led down a different one when you think it's like one thing, which I think is great. I love just waking up in the morning trying to get your bearings and figure out like, oh, I'm here, right? Like it's a complete different place, which is great. I also love the idea of her bringing up about her hair and stuff and needing to take a bath and stuff. So we were able to get that later, which ends up working out great. And I love how she immediately goes to work and tries to help out the old man, because of course she is worried from her immediate first plant is when we start right away and we're like, oh, we need somebody help, something happened. I love the scene here and how quick she is to act and try and figure out exactly what's going on in the situation. No time wasted at all, no thoughts really, well, plenty of thoughts, but no like extra thoughts, you know, just the essentials, and making sure that she fully figures out everything that she needs. I love this. This is the cutest thing of her hanging out the window, which I really like. And then I like how she starts piecing together all the things, the liquor, the different types of ones, the bottles that they were using, the straws, the wheat, like everything, and just kind of putting all that stuff together, or keeping it in the back of her mind for what is to come. I kind of think I would have wished, actually I don't remember if Memo saw it. Does she see it in this moment when the girl's looking at her? No, they make her turn away. So she doesn't even notice when the girl looks at her like that, and they make her look kind of sketchy, right? I almost wish that they didn't have this one scene, just for the idea that we wouldn't have to get like led into like, oh, this girl's evil, or like get behind that mindset. And I wish that it kind of would have been like, I don't know. I think it would have been like a way more fun reveal if we just have her walk in the room and this tiny little girl's trying to stab this guy. I think I would have liked a lot as well. And then the old man comes here and kind of helps us out. He teaches us a lesson along the way, but we get to see that he is so quick to kind of piecing things together in the way that we should kind of approach this. We carry on our day a little bit more as Mao constantly thinks about it, but puts to use a whole bunch of other things with the straw and everything else. She runs in and ends up finding the little girl here trying to stab the man. She gives her a big old headbutt, which is great too. And then we get, for the most part, the backstory about how shitty of a person that he kind of is. And while he deserves, probably, I mean, you guys can make the judgment on how you feel, what they're trying to do to him, right? He deserves some sort of punishment. I don't know if murder is the answer to it, but if they can't banish him from, you know, kind of coming here for whatever the reasons, I mean, I'm assuming they probably could have if they wanted to. I just don't understand the reason for, you know, not going a different route than murder. But I guess if it's one of those things like he is bringing in money and whoever's at the top like won't do something along those lines, or they're just not allowed to, or whatever the case is, maybe this is the only method that everybody from the inside thinks will actually work out really well. And then just getting a whole kind of rundown about the situation, which I think is pretty cool. Mao getting into her thinking state is really fun. I like how we just kind of make her, you know, wipe across the screen as she's thinking back on absolutely everything. And then the old man once again is telling her not to assume things and don't really overthink things because it doesn't matter. She pieces it together. We figure out the layering with the alcohol and stuff, which is actually pretty cool. Is that actually something that happens that I'm literally never been aware of? Because that's actually pretty cool if that is a situation here. And then we kind of just have her deduce the idea behind this place isn't so great. You know, it's basically the same as if I am in the palace or not. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Both of them have a whole bunch of the similar things that end up going down here. Gets her really in her thoughts and feelings about exactly what's going on with the two, or with everybody involved. My biggest summary, I guess, the way that I'll break it down, because this is probably the most likely scenario, I guess, is just exactly what she said behind the idea that this one girl wanted to kill off this guy. She ends up forming this big plot and this way of kind of doing it, and then she ends up being able to protect herself. It makes a lot of things make sense. It makes sense why the girl, you know, knew the timing and knew when the old man was going to be out and didn't expect to run into Mao Mao and stuff, and they would have been able to have him die, and then they would have been confident enough that somebody would have came in and had enough knowledge to be able to save her, not taking enough of the poison or anything, so that she was confident enough that she'd come back. How, you know, she had that much faith or trust in herself is crazy. I'm assuming the little girl probably was fully in on this the entire time. I don't know who else involved from the inside, but I'm assuming at least one or two other people were probably involved in what exactly was going on in the situation. And if not, it was just that girl and they were trying to work as hard as they can. But pretty cool, because there's plenty of other people who could have been involved, or plenty of other people who could have planted things, or actually brought this idea up, or wanted to do this, or actually taken action, or, you know, there's plenty of things that could have occurred here that I think works really well. I love also just bringing up here how people, you know, really do care about you, but the mindset that everybody had of, instead of kind of just like attacking her for being away, or telling her how much they missed her, like, you know, were worried when she was gone and everything, they're just kind of happy that she is back and acting as if like nothing really happened, because you're just grateful that the person is back, and you just want to kind of show that by, you know, giving them like an open, welcome environment by having them come back, which I think is really, really sweet for her to kind of be told that, at least, that, you know, they are happy that you are here, and they were very, very worried, even though that they may not act like it, you know, just so that she always does feel welcome and loved here. She gets told to go upstairs and pay her visits or do whatever, and then we end up coming here where she looks very depressed while she's watching over somebody sleeping. That person is a woman of sorts who looks like they are probably very ill. Assumption, this is where I think the things that the old man was saying last time come into play, in her connection to the palace itself. I'm assuming this is her mom in this situation. I'm also assuming her mom probably had some sort of relation to being in the palace at some other point. And while maybe she didn't, maybe somebody like the old lady or the old man or something actually were, who knows, but I'm assuming her mom's very important in this. I wonder if her mom has been somebody who's been sick her entire life. If this is, where I'm just going to assume that it is her mom, is somebody who is very sick. And this is kind of part of the reason why she also took such a fascination and interest in things, and like being an apothecary and stuff, because she wants to be able to find things to cure and help out this person who probably she cares greatly for. I would just assume root causes and stuff like that would make enough sense for her to kind of go down that route. It could also just be somebody else, like a sister or somebody else, like one of the first patients, or like some person that she's kind of helped out along the way and she's always cared for, and the others are kind of just like watching after her and helping her for whatever they can while she was gone. Who knows? But because of the way that her sister in the situation brings up the idea of, oh, you got to go up there and like check or whatever, would makes enough sense that it would be somebody that she is directly related to. And I'm assuming this is more so the reference or relation to what exactly the old man was trying to get at last week with the little bit that we got from him. And I'm assuming this will be the most that they hint at for many episodes to come, until we play another home visit, or until she discovers something within the palace that'll kind of, you know, get her thinking a little bit more. But I'm assuming this is like the last little thing that they were going to plant until they start really going at it. Many episodes, I would assume, from now. All serious stuff over from then. Buddy had the greatest time of his fucking life, and everything goes pretty well. We end up coming back, and then things go really bad when Jinchi is not very pleased at all and happy about her going away. And they start having a little bit of conversation, which I think is good that he went, you know, directly to her and one of the things from her mouth, you know, so he can figure it out, but doesn't end up turning out too well, because miscommunication between the two of them and not being on the same exact page. It's such a funny moment, especially this, when he just completely freezes up and breaks down and has absolutely no clue what the hell to do. And of course the others think it's the funniest thing in the, or she thinks it's the funniest thing in the world, of course. I'm assuming he gets told. Somebody will probably fill him in at some other point, you know, what exactly happened when they hear the story more so from her. But she probably won't be the one who ever actually understands what it is that she was doing wrong. I like how he did come to her as well. He's like, I gave you one too. Like, you could have asked me. I could have helped. And just being kind of upset about that he wasn't like the chosen one, which I think is great. Another really excellent one, as always. Love it. It's fantastic. Hopefully you guys enjoyed as well. If you like though, hit the like and subscribe to mean a lot to me. Feel free to check out the other videos on the channel. Leave comments for this particular series. I will be back for episode 9 next week. So have a good one. Peace.